of let me just pull it up here. The Weather Channel, the live stream, they're gonna basically be talking about the nor'easter that's bringing rain and snow in the northeast and coastal flooding, and also talking about severe weather. So here's the live stream. I'm pulling it up right now, and let's just wait for the ad to load. And there you go. Here is the live stream, and I believe right now it's in.
Taking a live look. 62 degrees and raining in Texarkana right now. Flash flood watch currently in effect. You picked up about 12 inches of rain this month, more than 8 inches above average, and as you can see, it is still coming down for us, unfortunately. A lot of rainforest through the Arklatex and the Mid-South this evening. Here's Arkansas right here, okay? There's Little Rock, there's Texarkana, Shreveport, you're on the back end of it all right now, but a lot of lightning embedded within this as well, and these heavy storms are going to roll their way north and east, so I-40 between Little Rock and Memphis will be a problem highway as we go through the night tonight. Just be aware of how much rain is coming your way, and keep in mind that some of these storms could produce rainfall rates of 2 to 3 inches an hour. We'll talk more about this in just a moment. First, Alex and Tom with more on the snow.
Yeah, we had Winter Storm Nico dropping snow from the Midwest to the Ohio Valley, undergoing bombogenesis, becoming a powerful nor'easter last February. So if you don't remember this one immediately, you got to go back a year. Wind gusts hit 70 miles an hour in Hyannis, Massachusetts. 19 locations in southern New England recorded blizzard conditions with that storm. We have a new storm that we're watching. Tom, we don't necessarily think this is going to be as powerful as Nico, but we do think that it could have some significant impacts to coastal areas.
It sure could, especially in the coastal areas. Let's go ahead and let's play this out. After it goes through the Midwest here, we just talked about that. This system weakens here, and then we get rapid redevelopment of the system there off the coast. And this baby's going to pack a punch, at least for coastal areas. Now, yesterday's forecast didn't have snow this far back in the cold air, but part of this system hangs back here long enough to actually produce some snowfall in places like upstate New York and northern New England. But even after this system gets out into the Atlantic here, tremendous wind that is coming around the backside of this system. This could cause significant issues. Take a look at the snowfall forecast. This has changed from yesterday as well. There's still a lot of uncertainty with this system. Right now, we're looking at 5 to 8 inches across parts of upstate New York, going into northern New England. And by the way, even Portland is going to come into line just to the north and west of there for significant snow. But let me tell you something. This map tomorrow will likely change once again because there's still so much uncertainty with this storm. What we know for certain is it's going to pick up some very strong winds, especially here on the coast. Northeasterly
you see that
winds,
onshore flow.
yep, coming into places like eastern New England there. There is a setup for that system there. And what we're going to see is this really strong northeast wind. We're going to have a long distance of these northeast winds building waves for hundreds of miles out in the ocean. And then those waves are going to end up coming into this part of the coast. Look at that, 20-foot plus waves just offshore. A little later in the show, we're going to talk about the issues possibly with significant flooding and erosion along the shoreline.
And it makes sense.
The thing though is, there's uncertainty.
Yes.
And it's not a slam dunk exactly where it's going to go and exactly what the intensity is going to be yet.
Yeah, and if we play this out again, it's this system here and the system to the north that cut across the U.S. here, and I talked about the uncertainty as they phase in this part of the country, but by the time they get off the coast here, it's this massive closed upper level low. That low is going to produce that deep, low pressure system off the coast here. And by the way, this is all coming from the other side of the globe here. This is Europe, where they got significant snow from really cold winds here coming around this ridge earlier in the week here. That ridge is what builds eastward here and sets up this blocking pattern so that the northeast is going to be under this kind of flow. There is a setup for the system right there, but our ensemble team of computer models here still does not know the exact solution of where that low is going to be off the coast.
Right.
And that has huge differences, Mike. If it's close to shore like we're kind of looking at right now, it's snow across New York State, interior New England. Far offshore here, all the rain stays offshore, and if you hit right in between those, you may get a little snow there. Right now, our forecast, as I talked about, is calling for that snow across upstate New York and interior New England. Stay tuned. And here's an area I'm very concerned about, coastal New England.
We're going to talk more about why he's so concerned about coastal New England coming up, and another threat that we're going to see damaging storms over the next 24 hours. Details when we come back.
Alright, while they're in commercial break, I'm just gonna check the snow. The snow and the rain. My area still says rain, just rain. Just rain and rain and rain. I'm gonna go place like Boston. Now Boston has the same thing on us. Has the same thing as us. But never mind. It has snow in it. Not anymore. Alright, so that's Boston. Now, when you go up to a place more norther, like Portland, Maine. When you go up there, we would get snow at night. And this can change definitely real quick. because it can change real quick, because it just showed you there's 3 scenarios, which I really didn't know that. So the scenario that I think the models are mixed in with right now is scenario 1 and scenario 3. Scenario 1 was mostly rain. Scenario 3 was snow along the coast and mixing. Now, scenario 2 was rain will stay offshore. So, also, something to watch out for. Because one day you could see rainy and forecast, then the next day, all of a sudden, you just see snow, which could definitely happen with the storm, because it's just so uncertain. It's just so not really. It's just so uncertain and so it's so uncertain, and it's so uncertain that where the storm's gonna go and how much snow is gonna come, how much rain is gonna come, and how much flooding, coastal flooding, and how much wind is gonna come. So I'm just gonna go back to the live stream for that, guys, because I think it came back already. It might have came back.
Well, extremely rare snow in Italy was the scene in Rome due to cold air sweeping in from Serbia, of all places. Of course, a massive snowball fight breaks out because when in Rome, that's what you do when it snows.
Now, if they would just do that in the Colosseum, gladiator style, where, you know what I mean?
Like shields.
Now that would be an epic snowball fight. Their shields are umbrellas.
They know how to do it. But yeah, I guess they kind of are recreating the scene.
Maybe a little bit.
They thought of everything. Hey, thanks for staying with us here on Weather Underground. I'm Alex Wilson.
And I'm Mike Bettis. Okay, we are just days away from the start of meteorological spring. It happens on Thursday. The sun starts getting high in the sky. We're going to add some heating, and a lot of times that brings springtime storms.
Yeah, we know we're getting towards severe season. When I head to Shreveport, Louisiana, one of the spots that has seen some rain coming down across the deep south, but we have seen some really heavy downpours, Mike, in some of these areas.
Yeah, we really have. Take a look at the radar right now. Really heavy storms for us right now in places like Arkansas. So Little Rock, we're getting nailed, especially, by the way, southern Arkansas is getting some really heavy rain right now. You can see right along the Louisiana and Arkansas state line here. El Dorado, down towards Shreveport. A little better for you now, Shreveport, but Texarkana, we have heavy rain that's happening for us at the moment. And the issue is going to be this. Places like, say, I-40 between Little Rock and Memphis, you're going to light up tonight with some really heavy storms as all this pushes its way off to the north and east here. So just be prepared for that, because for many of us, it's not a pretty forecast, and the severe weather comes on the heels of all this. Let's take a look at what the forecast is for, say, just the short term here, okay? Let's just take the next 12 hours. How much rain are we going to see here? For a lot of us, we're going to see a coating of about an inch or so. But notice there's some darker green in there. We can see 2 to 3, and even a little bit of yellow in there as well, just to the south of Little Rock. But that poses the risk is 3 to 5 inches of rain here, south side of Little Rock. What that means is continued flooding on top of what's already been an incredibly wet and record-setting month in Arkansas, Alex.
Yeah, it has been a difficult time for a lot of folks, including those in Little Rock. You know, some of the ingredients that factored into Saturday's severe threat will again be in place as we look ahead to the next threat of severe weather coming into the middle of the week. More than a dozen confirmed tornadoes struck on Saturday, most of them in Tennessee and in Kentucky. You're looking at some damage out of Tennessee. Weekend also brought us, unfortunately, our first storm-related deaths in more than 8 months. Dr. Erica Navarro is here with us to talk a little bit more about the severe threat for tomorrow, what ingredients we have, what that may not be lining up perfectly, and where we think that threat will come into play.
Yeah, we've got another system that's moving into the region here as we look ahead towards the day tomorrow. Big upper level feature here as this trough
moves into the west coast and then slides its way off to the east. This energy is going to move over the mid-south, and that's where our threat is most likely going to be for severe weather here from the northeastern part of Texas across portions of the south. This trough that's moving in is going to bring some lift in the atmosphere, so that's going to help get things going as we look towards the early afternoon on Wednesday, but that's also going to bring in a lot of shear as well into the atmosphere, so things could get organized, leading to a damaging wind threat in these areas. So places east of Dallas, up towards Shreveport, Memphis and Jackson, you're right on the edge of that red zone there, but can't rule out the possibility of severe storms. Even Birmingham, Alabama, a little bit farther to the east this time, Alex, that we're seeing that threat extend. It's like we've flipped the switch now. We've headed into severe season.
Yeah, we've got those chances keep coming. Mike, the other thing that's going to come with these storms, of course, is that threat for heavy rain.
Yeah, relentless in the Ohio Valley, triggering a rock slide that kept this particular stretch of road out of commission. Look at the cracks here, and they're almost going to get an earthquake, right? The road split in half by a giant boulder. It can take crews a few weeks to clear the road and make repairs before it is drivable once again. That really looks like something that you would see in like a Hollywood movie, right? Wild stuff there. All right, let's talk about that dangerous flood threat that comes with all this, and rock slides and mudslides have been a consequence of that. But here we go from, say, southern and eastern Kentucky all the way down through Tennessee, then on your way down toward northeast Texas as well. All these locations at a flood risk here with our next slug of rain that comes through. There's a spin in the atmosphere right there in Southern California. Moisture connection here comes out of the Pacific, eventually teams up out of the Gulf of Mexico as well, and hammers us here through the week. Very similar setup to what we had last week even. Similar locations getting hit with the rain. There's a look at it currently, and here's a look at that forecast as we go through the night tonight. More heavy showers for you. Dallas all the way up towards, say, Louisville, Kentucky. Take a look at the forecast here. Little Rock, near Dallas, Tyler, Shreveport, Texarkana. These are spots where thunderstorms and severe thunderstorms could be an issue for us. That may last into Wednesday night, so there could be a nighttime risk as well. Into Thursday we go. More movement of those storms east and north, by the way. So once again, the Ohio Valley sees heavy rain come its way, and that means, unfortunately, a prolonged event of flooding there as well. And we know that cities all along the Ohio River dealing with extreme flooding, including around Cincinnati. The river finally crested in the Queen City Sunday at about 60 feet, just over 60. The last time it crested that high was about 64 feet. That was back in 1997 during historic floods then. But two cities on each end of the Ohio River, Evansville, Indiana, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. One's at the start, one's more toward the end here. Dr. Navarro back with us again to talk a little bit more about all the flooding that's happened on the Ohio River, really from start to finish.
Yeah, it's been a long week in some of these areas. We've seen an exceptional amount of rain coming down in this area. I was just looking at this and noticed the state of Arkansas here, almost none of that is green.
Right?
Yeah, like it is yellow and orange. Just amazing the amount of rain that's come down in these areas. Many of these portions of the South as well as the Midwest are now experiencing their wettest Februarys on record. So this is historic rainfall that we've been receiving.
And you look at the river flooding, everything flowing along the big rivers. We often think about the Ohio River, the Missouri, and then everything draining into the Mississippi.
Yeah, so all that rain coming down, it's got to go somewhere. It eventually needs to drain out because it can't all evaporate back out into the atmosphere. So the Ohio River has been a focus here for a lot of this heavy rainfall because this drains down and precedes everything else going downstream. So let's look at Pittsburgh here at the last the month, I guess. We can say we got 2 more days left of February. This is the rain that we've received so far this month. 7 inches, which is about 5 inches above where we usually are for February.
And you just look at all the green on this calendar, how many days we've had rain. It's incredible, right?
Yeah, what, 4 or 5 days with no rain?
Record-setting February for us.
Yeah, unbelievable. So it's that is a lot of rain to be coming down at once. We can go now to a place like Cincinnati and we see the same picture, Mike. Very little days here without rain. Just look at the last stretch here.
Huge amounts of rain in the last week or so, leading to their 3rd wettest February on record in Cincinnati.
Yeah, this is, again, not a typical event for February. We see very strong spring rains come into these regions. So to see 10 inches of rainfall in Louisville. This stat amazed me. They are 8 inches above average for February.
It just blows your mind that all these places all along the Ohio River had this much rain, but it goes to reason why the river has been so full, right? I mean, you take a look at Louisville and the situation we've seen there. Alex was just there last week. I mean, it's a tough thing to wrap your mind around how many places took on water.
Yeah, it's hard to look at some of these images. Is that a roof of somebody's house? I mean, that is unbelievable to see that kind of water come in. There's so many threats that go along with it. This is a lot of water, and unfortunately, we're not going to see a break until this weekend.
Right.
Yeah. So
let's get toward the end of the Ohio River, toward Evansville. Same story here, just a different location.
right. Look at this. Just on Saturday alone, 3.5 inches of rain.
Which is roughly their monthly average.
Yeah.
They got it in one day to the tune of over 9 inches for the month. Their wettest February record.
Yeah.
It's the records has been falling left and right here. But it stands to reason now you see where the water is and why it may not come down quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Dr. Navarro, thank you. Alex?
Well, still to come, we've got big hail, damaging winds, tornadoes, all possible tomorrow. We'll show you where the risk of each is highest as we go in depth on the ingredients fueling this severe threat. And remember, you can interact with us here on the show. Send us your best weather photos, videos, and any questions you have. Use the hashtag WUTV, and we'll get yours answered a little later in the show.
so we're following some pretty good storms tonight for you across the south, and look at the setup for us here over the next couple of days. We've got plenty of moisture in play here. Storm system's going to roll its way off to the north and east here, and for many of us, it means we've got opportunities for severe weather. There are the storms that are hitting right now, especially right along the Louisiana and Arkansas state line. Storms will gradually move through Little Rock and Memphis this evening. As far as the forecast goes, how does this play out? We're going to put on the high resolution model here, give you an idea of what this is going to do for us this evening. More storms fill in across Arkansas. You can see in Memphis, I'll just put the pause on it right there, about 9:15 tonight, 9:15 tonight, the heavy rain right on your doorstep, and the possibility over the next 24 hours is severe weather could be in play. And Memphis, you could be one location at risk. Alex?
Yeah, I want to show you this. This was one of the tornadoes, one of at least 14 that ripped across the Mid-South over the weekend. Storm trackers captured this EF1 tornado as they were driving through Kaiser, Arkansas. This one, unfortunately, would prove deadly, killing one person in a mobile home. That mobile home was blown into a pond. So dangerous. And in this case, you can see just how difficult it is to see some of these storms when you've got heavy rain, Dr. Navarro.
Yeah, that heavy rain almost completely obscures that tornado. So you think the tornado's threat enough, but if you can't see it, that's the worst. We call that a rain wrap tornado. But what was interesting about this threat, Alex, was that most of these storms actually occurred a little bit farther to the north than I think people were expecting, and was a little bit ahead of that warm front here. The warm front was in the Tennessee region, but look at where all these reports were of those tornadoes as those storms roll through. Again, 14 reports of the tornadoes, but a lot of wind threats as well. We had a little bit of enhanced shear that was on the northern edge of this system, and the instability just snuck in a little bit here farther to the north because we had some breaks in the cloud cover. Areas to the south had extensive cloud cover, so we didn't see a lot of that sun heating the ground, but here things really ramped up.
All right, well, let's talk about what we have then coming into play for tomorrow's threat.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about last week, we had the shear, we had some instability. What are we watching tomorrow?
Yeah, so there are a couple ingredients that are going to come into play as we look towards the day tomorrow. The highest of that is going to be the wind shear that comes into the atmosphere. Huge upper level feature that's going to come in and really kick up the winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere. If I swing this around for you, you can see the difference in speed from the surface where that blue arrow is all the way up to the highest levels of the atmosphere. Down here at the surface, we're at 11 miles per hour, so not too fast there at the lowest levels, but look as we go up, we're into the 40s. You go up to about 8,000 feet, we're approaching the 50s, and all the way up here, 12,000 feet, we're into the 60s and 70s, so that is a big difference as we go from the surface up above. That's that speed shear in the atmosphere. But notice, all those arrows are pointing the same direction, so we're not going to be expecting a lot of rotation in the atmosphere. That's why we think this is going to be a damaging wind threat. Now, the other thing that low pressure is going to bring in is a lot of enhanced lift in the atmosphere. That lower pressure is going to lower the heights and help to kick up that instability just a little bit by maybe getting those thunderstorms going on the day on Wednesday. But if we look at the actual instability at the surface here, moving into the region, we don't have a lot going on. We don't have that energy to really get those storms firing to be quite strong. The coldest air is way down here at the surface, and we don't have a lot of it. When you have a lot of cold air at the surface with warm air on top of it, that's a very unstable situation. But here, we're very limited to basically just the first 1,000 feet of the atmosphere. So our instability is going to be the factor here that's probably going to hold us back. But even with the amount of instability we had on Saturday, that was enough to cause some severe storms. So keep that in mind. We don't need a lot in this region. Now, in terms of moisture, we're not lacking in any sense of the word. It is a very moist atmosphere from the surface with relative humidities in the 80s and 90s all the way up to about 10,000 feet. A very waterlogged atmosphere, Alex. No surprise that we're seeing a lot of heavy rain come down because there is just no dry air in sight here.
Now, when we talk about severe, sometimes we do want some mid-level dry air. So do we think that the moisture could help to maybe inhibit the severe? Obviously, it's not going to inhibit the flood threat.
No, I think, yeah, we do need that contrast, that dry air to really help enhance that threat for thunderstorms. Down at the surface, that moisture actually can play into the instability, and it will. We have those high dew points, but to have that waterlogged atmosphere, that's probably not going to give us the greatest threat here. But nonetheless, we still are expecting that potential.
And all it takes is one. If we were to get one tornado in an area where people live, you'll have an impactful day. Dr. Navarro, thank you so much for the explanation, and these will be the areas we're watching closely tomorrow. Mike.
Thank you both very much. Well, a crack in the the snowpack, well, it turns into a powerful and dangerous avalanche closing in on this skier. He managed to escape to safety, and how he did it is going to absolutely shock you. It's next on Weather Underground. I'm going to take you live right now to a place that is enjoying the snow lately. Lake Tahoe in California, temperature just under freezing. Plenty of cold air and more snow in the forecast for the week. We'll have some details when we come back in your winter weather update.
I'm gonna end the stream right now. So see you guys later.